Hey guys, continuing right along with the 2-year follow-up reviews, the next piece of gear I want to talk about is these Polish sparring gloves from sparringgloves.com. Now again, I did a review of these about 2 or 3 years ago, which I'll link below, that goes into more depth as to my initial impressions of them and how they held up initially. Lot to talk about with these gloves. These have been my primary sparring gloves for over 2 years now. I have bought other pairs of sparring gloves to test out, to do reviews on, like the Koning gloves and the Absolute Force Deluxe sparring gloves. I've tried on tons of different gloves since then, and these are still my go-to, what I consider, almost the industry standard for HEMA sparring glove. To go over these briefly, I got the split hoof model, so not the mitten and sadly not the 5-finger one. I have tried the 5-finger version of these gloves, and I may try to borrow a pair to do a review. Quick thoughts on them. I think they're an excellent improvement over these. They give you the 5-finger mobility, which is really nice. I still somewhat prefer these to the Koning sometimes, because the Koning gloves that I got are the first version of them, which are a bit big and bulky. I've seen some of the new versions of Koning gloves, which look a little smaller. But now I'm rambling about other gloves and not talking about these ones. How have these held up over the past 2 years? And this is somewhat complicated. For the most part, they have held up excellently. They've protected my hands. I've taken very, very few injuries to the hands and fingers as a result of using these gloves. And what injuries I have taken to the hands and fingers have been very freak accidents, basically, or times when I was not protecting myself and, maybe extended my thumb out too much and put it right in the way of a blade, things like that. I took a really strange injury where I was sparring against a friend and the tip of their fetter broke, or their feeder. One day I'll learn how to pronounce that. The tip of their sparring sword, let's say, broke. It was a rolled tip, so the top half broke and left a jagged edge. That jagged edge actually went right through. Let me make sure I'm wearing this glove. Basically, I was up in sort of this stance, and their sword came right in. It tore through. It's kind of hard to see, through here and into my hand, and through the. I was wearing a leather glove under this, and it actually cut through the leather glove and gave me this nice scar here. Might be hard to see, but right there, kind of right before my thumb webbing. Glad that it got me there, because if it had gone a little lower, it would have gone right into the webbing and possibly, really messed up my thumb. But these gloves definitely protected that from being a much worse cut or stab to my hand. For the most part, the gloves have held together well, but I've noticed a few things on them have started to come apart. A lot of the threading that holds the leather and the plates is starting to come loose. Let's see, so right up here, and again, this is kind of where the cut was, we can see that the leather, let me try to get in the light, sorry. The leather is starting to come unattached. The threading is starting to go. If I get my hand in there, you might be able to see it a little better. Right there, you should not be able to see my finger. That's supposed to be held together. And you can see some of the loose thread here. But I still consider that pretty good after 2 to 3 years of much use. And the bulk of the glove is still very much solid and not coming apart. It's just rare places around certain fingers that are taking more wear. I did have parts of this glove come apart and need to fix them. Some of the weak points are right here, the thumb. This strap likes to come apart a lot, so I have actually used a different strap and taped it in place. A lot of the elastic, for example, this used to be an elastic. I've replaced it with Cordura or just paracord, and the paracord has worked very nicely for this strap. You'll notice right here there's some yellow thread. This one also, again, the threading came off here and the entire thumb came disconnected from the glove. So I've replaced that thread with Kevlar thread, which so far has held up really well. So from a mix of paracord, Kevlar thread, some elastic with tape, I've been able to keep these gloves together, keeping them hold together and still protecting my hand. You'll notice some white elastic things down here. I had one of the elastic straps that sort of, it runs through these holes much like a shoelace. I had one of them get cut and snap, so I didn't have elastic on one of my gloves. What I did was buy some, these are elastic, pieces of rubber elastic that are for shoes. So you put them in your shoes and you don't have to tie them anymore, is the idea behind them. They go between the lace holes, and then you can just put on your shoe as though it were a pull-on. You don't have to tie the laces. So I saw those online and said, wow, you know, that could actually really work for this sparring glove. So I got a set, and I have to say they work really well. They don't come loose, they haven't broken yet, and I don't have to worry about them being tied or anything. I just slip the glove on, and they give me, it just gives me nice retention. When I'm wearing a sparring jacket especially, it will kind of fill out this space, and it just holds it nicely. So that was a good modification that has worked really well for me. Seeing what else I've had to modify or fix on this glove. This is my right hand, and the right hand definitely takes a lot more of a beating in longsword fencing for a right-hander, because it's your top hand. It's the thing that, you know, they're going to try to hit. It's going to be the furthest out. It's the, you know, the closest target on my body. So this glove has definitely taken more of a beating than the left-hand glove. So that pretty much summarizes the fixes I've had to make. So this whole hoof is actually in really good shape. This one has started to fall apart on the side, and specifically the side that takes more hits. I had to replace this elastic, this threading, and this elastic with my own gear. But everything else, all the other stitching, the plates under the wrist, everything is held together, and I have never broken a finger. I haven't broken my hand. The worst hit I think I've taken was to the thumb, and again, it was a very precise, direct, strong strike to my thumb that just gave me a basically a blood blister under the thumb. That's the worst hit I've experienced with these gloves, which is amazing. I've seen people wearing lacrosse gloves, red dragons, and things that are thinner, and they have gotten fingers or hands broken. It's I'm very thankful to have these gloves, basically. Looking at the left-hand glove, you'll see that because it takes much less of a beating, everything's in much better shape over here. The stitching on the side is intact. The stitching on the back of the thumb and all the elastic bits are intact. I did still replace the elastic here with these the rubber silicone shoelace things, for lack of the exact brand, just because it worked so well on my right glove that I figured I might as well do it on this one to keep them symmetrical, and because I figure eventually someday this elastic may break, why not just preemptively replace it. I'm just seeing if anything has gone off on these gloves. No, the left one is definitely in excellent condition still. When I first got these gloves, I think I mentioned that they are a little stiff. These have broken in wonderfully, and now just I can wear these and spar in these and feel just very natural. These are just my go-tos. I've been training and practicing in these, so these are kind of my default. I mentioned wearing leather gloves inside these, and that's because I noticed that the knuckles, and you can't see which knuckles I'm talking about because I'm wearing the gloves, but basically the knuckles of my middle and index finger tend to rub against the inside of the top of the glove. So that is, let me show you my hand, right here. So these knuckles on the first two, or sorry, the index and middle finger. So I wear leather gloves, just normal thin leather gloves under these. That completely eliminates the issue. So these, with a pair of leather gloves, will protect your hands excellently and will hold up pretty well over 2 to 3 years of class drills, sparring, you know, free sparring, continuous sparring, all kinds of stuff. These will hold up really well. Yeah. not too much else to say about that. Again, I've had these for about 2 or 3 years. They've held up fairly well with some exceptions. I still think that these are basically the industry standard for HEMA sparring gloves. Though again, I've tried many other good gloves. The new Conan gloves are great. The Spec Heavy gloves are another basically industry standard tank of a glove that I would also recommend. But the Polish sparring glove, all 3 versions continue to be just some of the most durable, reliable, dependable sparring gloves for HEMA practitioners on the market. So, there it is. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks again for watching. Please hit subscribe and check out some of these other videos.